My name is Jerry Gill. Today is August 25, 2010. I'm visiting with Gay Lynn Bullock in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And this interview is for the Osage Storage Project of the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. And I appreciate you taking time this afternoon to visit with us, Gay Lynn.
You're welcome.
Gay Lynn, kind of like I'd asked your mother earlier, your family has a proud history of Oklahoma A&M and Oklahoma State University, beginning with your grandmother, Gay Lynn Albright Clark,
Yes.
continuing through your mother, and 5 generations of your family have attended Oklahoma State University. And I understand that your grandson Matthew is currently a student at Oklahoma State.
He's a junior this year.
Junior?
Architectural engineering.
Architectural engineering? Wow, you got to be proud of that young man.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's doing well.
What was your grandmother still living while you were a little girl?
Yeah.
She
She lived to be 94.
Okay. What do you, when you think about, what do you remember about your grandmother?
Oh gosh, we would go to their farm, and I would climb in the orchard and eat cherries right out of the tree, and we would spend the night. They had an outhouse. Of course, I wouldn't go out there, but anyway, and she is full of stories and very dramatic, and she, Grandpa was very quiet, but she went on and on. So she was a lot of fun, and we'd go down to the pond and we'd go get in the watermelon patch, and it was great. It was just fruit and cantaloupe, strawberries, and everything out there, and we went out there quite a bit and thoroughly enjoyed the farm because we lived in town all that time.
What do you remember about her personality? Was she pretty perky person?
Oh, she was so outgoing. She was a ham. She was a frustrated actress, and she would love to get in front of people and give speeches. She taught Sunday school. Anytime she had a chance to get up in front of people, and this is kind of filtered down to all of us, clear down to my son, Michael, who is a big-time comedian. But that Grandma was very outgoing, very helpful. She was the Eastern Star. She was a worthy matron. She went really far in that organization. She just liked to get up and be in front of people and talk, and really loved people. And everybody liked her, and she was very prominent there in Perkins. So.
Did she ever talk to you about any of her OSU experiences?
The only thing I remember, there wasn't hardly any buildings there, but she enjoyed the classes, and she made a lot of friends while she was there. I'm not sure where she stayed. I can't remember that, but she really didn't talk a lot about that, but she did enjoy. She would talk about what a great school that was, and how she thought all of her children should go, and everybody else in the family should go to that particular school. And she was real proud of the fact that she had been there. So.
It was pretty special. We're talking about in the 19-teens.
I know.
For a woman to go to college at that time was pretty special, wasn't it?
Little bitty place, and I'm sure it was Old Central and
Moral Hall, maybe.
I don't know how many are that old there, that would be that old, but she loved her classes. Everywhere she went, made a lot of friends. Of course, they called on her all the time because she liked to talk. So
and she graduated in education.
Education.
And then taught most of her life.
Taught in Perkins and a couple other places they lived while he was working for the railroad. And then she came back to Perkins, and they had a piece of land, and they started farming, and then she raised her kids, and she didn't teach anymore. So I've often wondered why she just didn't keep on teaching, but apparently living out like that would have been.
She had a couple other sisters and attended OSU, or what?
Yes. They had 2 families. They had this one, the 3 or 4 older kids, and then when Mom was born, they had 2 more. So her aunts were her same age, and she ran around with her aunts, and it's Geneva and Iris. And there was another son that was maybe 5 or 10 years old. They were just over a span of 21 years. They had kids. They stopped for a while and they had, you know, some more. So. And then when he grew up, Mom, there she was. She had built-in friends to run around with.
But how many of the kids in her family went to college?
Geneva and Iris, Arnold. Massey did not go. Mark. Edwin was a farmer. He took over the farm. He was a very big farmer. So I don't think Edwin went. But Mark, I think, he was in sales. So he may or may not. I never heard.
Arnold was a doctor.
Well, Arnold went, but I'm not sure where he went. He went in the Army. He was a colonel in the retired Army. And then.
But it was pretty unusual at that time for 2 or 3 members of the same family to go to college.
They were very big on education. That was talked about a lot, and they read a lot, and Grandpa, all right, really stressed that education. And he was that hardy German guy you got to learn. And so he had a very successful farm, and, but he did stress that education with all his children, just like that filtered down to everybody.
And so it continued then with your mother, and she
Yes.
attended Oklahoma State.
And Grandma and Mom, and now Harry, her brother, didn't go he stayed and worked in Perkins, but she was disappointed, but he made his choice.
Did your mother ever take you to the OSU activities? Sporting events or reunions or homecoming or anything?
I think Dad may have taken us. Mom, she was off with her book clubs and her literary and her music club, and that's more cultural. But Dad was sporty, and he took us to some basketball. I think he probably took me to wrestling. And I was very athletic. My older brother was not, even though he played football because his dad thought that was cool. But I was the most athletic in the family.
Did you play basketball?
The girl. I played softball. I always wanted to play sports, and there wasn't anything for girls at that particular time. So I'd ask the guys if I could play baseball or softball or go away, and tried to play a little basketball, but I was so short. I played tennis. I started taking up tennis. I really love athletics. So I think now my younger brother plays a mean game of golf, but I probably was most all around.
So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 brothers,
Two-
one older,
two-
one younger.
2 brothers. Yeah, older and younger. Okay. Now, where did you live growing up? Some different communities?
Okay, we lived on 301 South Duncan. I remember that house. And I went to Norwood. If you remember that little school that's now the DMLA and Mason.
What was the name of the school then?
Norwood.
Norwood.
On Miller and Duck. And there was a bunch of us in the neighborhood that went to this school. And then that was just the first grade. And then I went to Jefferson. And when we lived on Duncan, I went to Jefferson. Then we moved out to Admiral Road. Dad said we needed to move out to a better neighborhood.
Moved where was that?
Admiral Road.
Oh.
Western, out west.
Oh, okay.
Admiral, Sherwood, University, all those. And, okay, so we moved to Admiral Road, and then I started going to Eugene Field, which is where IGA Consider is now. There was a school there, and so I went there.
Where the old IGA store is now?
So Eugene Field was there for several years, several friends. There's several Stillwater High people that stay around. There's several in my class before, they just stay here. I'm not sure what they all do, but they stay here. And then let's see, where did we go? That's when we went to Texas. Dad was transferred. Then we came back, lived on Sherwood.
Yeah. And then you
Went to high school, finished up in high school.
you went to high school, Stillwater High School
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
Well, what activities were you involved in?
Let's see. Probably junior dramatics, like everybody else in this family. And I sang in the choir, Epperly, Mr. Epperly. I don't think there was any sports that I did. The basketball was the main thing, and I just was not a basketball, even though I love it here. We've got season tickets to everything.
That's great.
But I don't remember. I think I was in some social clubs, but I can't remember all those.
So what year did you graduate from Stillwater High School?
59.
59. So then you enrolled at Oklahoma State that fall.
Right.
And what was your major?
Business. Now this story is, I wanted to be in theater and dramatics, because that's gay. And Dad said, that's not practical. You need to be in business.
Your dad said you did in business?
Business. Counting. Something like that. I said, I don't like that, Dad. Well, I think that's a good
And since he was paying the tuition.
He said, what are you going to do? And so I really wanted to live on the campus. I wanted to get into everything and run around over the campus. And he said, you have a perfectly nice home to stay in. I'm going, oh, gosh. So I went, and I was in business. And I didn't particularly like it, so I went to all the parties, all the fraternity parties. I danced at the student union, like Mom. And, and at the end of the year, my grade point was about 1.9, I think. And he says, I don't believe you're grown up enough to keep going to college. You're going to have to work, Gay Lynn. I said, Dad. I said, well, I didn't like business, Dad. So I went to work for a while, and then I got back in college, and then I met my first husband. He was from Spolpa. He was a beta up here, and we got married. Had 4 kids.
Let me come back and ask you.
Okay.
What did you finally major in?
I finally, well, I didn't finish then. I got married and had kids, and then I started to go back to school. And then I was in marketing. I said, do I want to be in marketing? What do I want to do? What would get me a job if I would? And I thought, at that point, theater and all that kind of stuff was not going to get me a job.
That's right.
I was past the starlet area. So anyway, but I went off, and we lived in Texas a lot. It was with old companies. And so I would pick up an hour here, pick up an hour here, pick up an hour. You know, I would go. I even went to Kilgore College. We lived in Longview, Texas. I went to Kilgore College, and I thought just one moment about being a rangerette, but I was too old. So anyway.
We did
Anyway.
kind of backing up. You said,
Yes.
So you talked about the good time you had your freshman year. Were you in some organizations and activities?
I did not. I was sort of a rebel without a cause at that point, and I did not join a sorority, even though several called me and asked me and everything, and I said no. And that might have been good for me if I'd done that. But I don't know. I was in the speech club. I managed to get into some of the dramatic clubs, even though I was a business major, because I enjoyed that kind of people, those kind of kids. And
who was your president at that time in Oklahoma State? Was that Oliver S. Wilhelm? Dr. Wilhelm?
I bet that was.
You were there in the late.
I was there. Do you remember Dean Springer?
Yes.
He was the dean. So I don't know, that might give you an idea of who might be the president, but I don't. Wilhelm. It wasn't Calm, that was later.
You talking about your dean? Are there other professors or administrators you remember at OSU at that time?
Dr. Shower.
Dr. Shower?
He taught me accounting.
Mm-hmm.
He was so mean.
Okay.
But he's a good accountant. He's a good teacher. And that's how I met my first husband. He was taking alphabetically. His name was Donovan Dunn. Donovan
Okay.
And he was really tough. Of course, he played golf with my dad. And he said, is your dad born? you know, he asked me that, and I said, will that get me a good grade, or?
Yeah, you should answer yes or no.
And I don't know, but I remember Shower, I sure, and of course, Dean Swearingen, I really liked him. And I had a doctor, I had somebody for speech I really liked. His son is a pro golfer.
You remember who the Dean of Women was at that time? Was Zelma Patchen? Was she the Dean of Women?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Right.
Oh, what was his name? What was, you know who that is? Oh, gosh, I can't remember. But I sure like to sing. And, that's too bad, I can't remember. But,
Well, in the late 50s, early 60s, when you were going to school, what were some of the favorite student hangouts at that time?
I don't think Eskimo
They opened in 57, I think.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
They had well, student union. I was at the student union. There was a lot of bars around, but I'm trying to remember places. I danced at the student
And
union.
a lot of dances there in the
And
ballroom.
I went to fraternity dances.
Oh, you had the fraternity houses parties.
That's.
You wound up marrying a
And
baby.
my dad said, I'm taking the phone off that hook, I'm taking that phone out, it's always ringing. Because they wouldn't go to the dance. But I'm trying to think of some really good memories.
Did
I
you ever-
thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Did you ever find the library while you were here?
Yes, I used the library as a way to get out of the house sometimes. I have to go study at the library and then I'd go do something else.
And did they have some rules about what you could wear in the library at that time?
Yeah, you had to wear long pants and
And had to wear dresses, didn't you?
I don't think I had to wear dresses.
You certainly
We
could.
wore jeans and
But you couldn't wear shorts.
pants. But I don't remember. We wore skirts and sweaters.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what. And my dad let me drive. Oh, that's another funny thing. He got this old Buick Roadster. It was black and orange. And he always knew where I was. That's very sneaky. And I'd drive around and people would say, have you seen Gay Lynn late? Oh yeah, her car's over there. Car's over there, car's over there. I couldn't hide from anything.
Your car, the car now, describe the car to me, it was
Orange and black.
orange and black. Was it primarily black with a little orange or vice versa?
I think the bottom, can you remember that car, Mom? The bottom was orange and the top was black. It was that old Roadster. I could get 12 kids in there. I mean, it's this far, the back
Yeah.
seat in there. And that was one of those. How many kids can you get in this car? And I had a very good time.
What?
But I had to grow up a little.
You talk about the parties, but maybe in addition to that, what were some of your favorite memories of your times at OSU?
Well, you know, I met a lot of girls that did not go to Stillwater High, and I made a lot of friends from different, because I was up at the dorm all the time, because that's where I wanted to live. And, so that was fun to meet people from different cities, you know. And of course, in some of the classes I really liked. I loved. I had sociology, psychology. I had sociology with Mo Libo.
Mo?
Of course, I knew him. We went to Stillwater High. And he says, Gay Lynn, you want to pass this test? I said, do you have all the tests? I didn't say that. But anyway, he was so much fun. I enjoyed that class. Of course, I enjoyed all the dances and the parties. Those were fun.
Did now, again, and you might answer this and I forgot, but brothers and sisters who went, you had two brothers.
My older brother,
Your older brother went to Oklahoma State?
he finished up at Oklahoma State, got a master's, did some TA work here, taught. And then he finished his master's and went over in Tulsa and worked for DX Sunray, putting out their magazine or something. And he's done quite well. He was just back here recently. He's lived away. Virginia, D.C. He was in D.C. a long time, worked in D.C. I told him he was just corrupt. So, but yeah, he's
Well, then, could you talked a little bit about after you didn't finish your degree
No.
before you got married. Left. Can you talk a little bit about maybe your life from there to when you come back to Stillwater?
all that life before I
Yeah,
came
you
back
sorta-
and tried to finish.
Right. You sort of fell in a little bit after you left OSU.
Okay, we lived in Odessa, Texas. That he worked for Sinclair Oil, and that's when I had 3. My first job was born in Stillwater, Oklahoma, there, and then the other 2 girls were born in Odessa, and I belonged. I did a lot of volunteer work, charity work, church work. I was very busy, very busy. I was not a stay-at-home mom, but I wasn't. And then we moved to Longview, continued with the East Texas oil field, and I was several president of this club, worthwhile projects, played tennis. We come back for homecoming. Came back
Did you?
quite a few times, and of course he was a big time beta, and he'd come back to the beta house and we'd see everybody. We'd come back to Stillwater quite a bit because my parents living here, they would. And anyway, they did a lot of fundraising for different organizations for different kind of projects, and then he got a different job, and we moved back to, supposed to move to Tulsa, and we ended up moving to Sapulpa. And then in '83 we were divorced. And I came back to Stillwater to finish school.
So you come back to Stillwater after that then?
And
Did your kids, did they attend school here in Stillwater?
yes,
High
I
school?
was going to school. At the time, my second was going to school.
Okay.
My first one was out in '85, and they're all 3 of them are chemical engineers. One of them's computer science major. But Jamie and James Horning were out, and then I went, and then I was still going when the third one entered. The 2 younger ones went to graduate from Texas A&M.
Did your two of them went to Texas A&M? Did your 2 oldest, your daughters,
Graduated
went to
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, and the 2
That's
youngest?
because we were there, but then the ex was transferred to Houston, and he wanted the kids, if you want me to pay for it, you'll come down and go to school. I'm going somewhere, down there by him. So that's fine. Texas A&M's a great school. And but anyway, 2 of them did. And
How did looking back and reflecting on, how did your time at Oklahoma State University, how did it influence you in your life?
well, I met a lot of people I kept in touch with, kind of lifetime friends. Some of the classes I thoroughly enjoyed. I was a late bloomer, and it was a growing up process, and that kind of, by going back, and I was out for a while and worked, and then I went back and then got married, and it kind of, I grew up, and during that time.
Did you ever finish your college degree?
What happened is I came back here, and I was about finished, and I married my second husband, and he got a job at Tinker. He was teaching school, and he went to work for Tinker, and he was commuting, and it was wearing him out. So I had to go to Edmond and graduate from the University of Central.
You get the degree, that's
2
important.
semesters. And I went, I want to graduate from Oklahoma State, and I felt so bad about him commuting every day. I just had to do that.
Sure.
And I still felt kind of like I did graduate from here, and but
Well, did you?
I got it anyway. So
Did you, your first two kids, your daughter, did you have some influence on their coming to Oklahoma State?
Yes.
I mean, did you?
I used to rock them and tell them, you're going to school. You're going to go to school. You're going to make your own way. You don't have to depend on a man. This is a baby. You must go to Oklahoma State and have a good degree. And of course their dad said, if it's not science or math, I'm not paying for it. And I thought, that's not quite right. But actually it worked out because they all have great jobs and they've never been laid off and they still have them.
That's terrific.
So that worked out, but I thought that was a little...
Well, when you kind of get your group together, let me first of all kind of back and asking, like started off with 5 generations in one family. And as I recall, I don't think there's a handful of other 5-generation families, but nobody more than that at Oklahoma State. Is that special to you? Is that a source of pride for you?
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. In fact, when Matthew got here his first week, we took a picture of me, Jamie, my daughter, and him when they brought him to pack, put him in Bennett Hall, and we had that. I looked for that picture, but we had that picture. That was so great. And Jamie, my daughter, said, "You must call the Stillwater News and tell them about this." And of course, she's very good at telling you what to do. And I said, "Well, I think I will." And I never got around to it. But how did you find out about us, by the way?
Well, your daughter sent an email to me. We sent out a newsletter in the Alumni Association, electronic newsletter. We went out asking about anyone that's
Jamie Horning said you.
So she said you should talk to my mom. So blame her.
She is. That's all right. I don't care. I think that's great. But now that we're retired back here, of course, Marty, my husband, finished, and here at OSU, and of course he loves it. Now that we're back, we've tried to get involved in a lot of things, Ollie and all this, and of course we have season tickets still.
How long have you guys been back in Stillwater now?
April 2008.
2008.
It hasn't been very long,
Well,
but
get back. It's good.
He retired in fall of 2007 from there, and we were in Oklahoma City just a short time for him to do that, and we sold that place in the middle. And it's been, and the first year I get back, they said, Gay Lynn, you need to help us on our high school reunion, 50th.
50th,
I said,
no.
I just been here a week, I haven't unpacked all my boxes. That's okay, I can do it. And so I worked on that all year, and we had it, and it was great.
That's good.
Yes.
You were talking earlier, Gay Lynn, your family gets together occasionally informally, where you talk about some of your OSU experiences, and
Jamie and had a lot of fun experiences, so she'd be a great one to talk to. And Jane, of course,
named after her grandmother.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, what are some? Let me ask you a couple of questions about that. Are there some, common experiences that you talk about? Oh, yeah, we did that, or we did that. Were there some common experiences you shared that were similar to each generation?
Well, we were talking about, of course, Eskimo Joe's. Of course, they did a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was that bar, George's, some kind of bar that they may have gone in that my husband went in.
George's Stables.
George's Stables. Yes. And there,
Don't ask me why I know that name.
And of course, they liked the basketball, and when they were here, and we talk about that a lot, and because James played basketball in high school, very tall, and they're all very athletic, and they like. And I'm trying to get my granddaughter up here, Matthew's sister. She's 17. She came up to the OSU soccer camp this summer, and
Where does she go to school?
she goes to Beaumont, Texas. That's where Matthew's from. And Jamie, that's where they live. And I was trying to talk her into that. I don't know.
Wow.
My friends are going here. You know how girls are. They kind of go where their friends go. And I hope she thinks about it.
Galen, we talked about sort of the common experiences that y'all talk about and share that are, athletic events, different things. What do you call this distinctively different about each generation when you're talking? Are there some differences you notice in the stories that, say, you tell and maybe Matt tells
Well,
and your daughter
yeah.
tells?
There, of course, there's a difference in, let me think, what is the parties. The parties are different.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's a few more, they've come up, especially with Matthew. The hazing, of course, when we went to school, hazing, they did anything. One time it was fraternities and everything. They were always pulling stuff. But he can't do anything. That's one thing. They are not, he was telling me what all they cannot do anymore. And I said, well, I guess so. Can you make them make a pledge shine your shoes? No, we can't do that. And I thought, that's kind of hard.
It is different, isn't it?
But I noticed that, and there's more rules. Of course, there's a lot of difference between, of course, Matthew and their cell phones and their Xbox, all that technical stuff. There's a lot. They have a lot more help in studying with their PCs, or we all tripped off to the library, and when I finally decided it was time for me to study, I went to the library and just sat there and looked up stuff. Now they're just computer, I mean, it's just everything, just right.
Well, back to Matthew now, let me ask you. Matthew's the 5th generation. Does he already know the pressure's on him for the 6th generation?
Right. He knows. He's a good guy.
Is he having a good experience at Oklahoma State as far as you know?
He loves it. He joined the Sigma Chi's, and he's real active, and he's been, an officer, and he's been in the varsity review, and he's been all this stuff, and he studies all the time. He recently got another scholarship. There was a guy, Sigma Chi, that was in a bad accident about 10, 12 years ago, and so his brothers get up this scholarship, and several of them, and they award them to it during Parents' Day. I think April, Mother's Parents' Day. And I went up to the Sigma Chi, and they had a house, and they had all these functions. And they said, we're going to present this scholarship. I said, okay. So they come out and talk, and this year's recipient is Matthew Horning. I went, yay! And it's about $600 or $700. And so he's doing really well there.
Well, kind of speaking of Jamie, I don't want to skip a generation here.
Okay.
Was she ready to go to OSU when it was time to come? Had you rocked her enough and whispered to her?
Yeah, she was ready to go.
Mm.
She was going to be a doctor for a while. And after 1 year, she decided that she would just maybe be an engineer instead. I guess it's going to be.
Is that what she is?
She's a chemical engineer.
Chem engineer.
Jim Harding is a chemical engineer.
They met at OSU.
Yeah, they met in class there.
A lot of good things happen to OSU,
Yeah,
don't they?
she just loved it. She was a Kappa Kappa Gamma, and she loved that. And she had a great time. She would come over to Mom's house and wash all her clothes and sit there with Mom and Dad. They'd talk to her. She'd come over and see them a lot. And my second child, Melissa, went to, both her and her husband went to Oklahoma State too. So.
Let me ask you, how are you, it's changed a lot since you were on campus, a lot of new buildings.
Oh, yeah,
Are you
it's
proud
fine.
of how this university's developed? Or?
Oh, just huge. Of course, the two-booth picking stadium. And I have even went through a tour of that stadium. That's impressive. And of course, the architectural building is beautiful. Of course, I toured that with Matthew. And they've just got a lot. That geology, it's just...
The only problem is everything's tore up all the time.
I know, it's only torn up. I said, I went to that classroom building. Then I went to that business building wasn't Spears, was it?
And the business building wasn't there until the 60s, I think.
Well, there was a business...
Morrill Hall.
I guess.
Most of the business classes used to be over in Morrill Hall, I think.
But it was right where it was when I went, still there.
Mhm.
Aren't they? Yeah.
Mhm. Still there.
And of course, I've been in. Is it Sherrar? Been in there, went to some plays. But they have all the
Sertine
centers downtown Stillwater. I get those. And I've been in there and went to some plays that kids put on. We try to. We belong to Ameritai, and we go to those things on Monday night. They have a nice dinner. Listen to a lot of nice speakers, and I met several people there. And they asked us to take over the bridge. We play a lot of bridge. We're big time bridge players, and so we might do that. So we're just enjoying Oklahoma State. Of course, the summer gets a little dull because nobody's here.
But they're back.
But they're
You
back.
know what? Anything we haven't covered that you kind of think about over your generation, the 5 generations, any comments you'd want to make or something you want to
I'm
bring up?
sure that I will think of something once I leave. You always think, oh, I should have said that with the kids. The kids had such a, interviewing those kids will be, and Matthew will be a delight because they've just...
My final question, kind of for you, is this: OSU's changed a lot physically. We
Oh,
talked about.
yes.
What's stayed the same? What's the principles and values about Oklahoma State University that you've always appreciated that you think maybe it's continued through those 5 generations?
You know, I've gotten to know Halligan. Of course, we're big conservatives, so we see Halligans everywhere. And I like them, and they kept the values. They've done real well. I really like them. They're very active and everything. And I like Burns Harkins. I think he seems to be doing. I think they're trying to keep the same values and standards that, of course, I was very good friends with John Bryant. I don't know, he was in the agricultural department. He's retired. He passed away. But he was has a lot of integrity, and he was a dean for a while in agriculture. And he kept, I think the kids change, the technology change, and all that stuff, but there's certain standards for every year and every generation. I think that they've kept those. Integrity.
When you talk to people about OSU, certain things come up like that about people cared about you, the friendliness,
Yes,
the environment, the beauty of the
care.
campus, and some of these things that sort of continuing in the land-grant tradition about teaching and research and extension. And I just wonder if any of those things sort of resonated with you.
Yes, I think, yeah, I get that feeling when I'm up around, like in the alumni building, and go up there and have some. I even met Travis Ford. Now that's Travis Ford. I met him, and when he talks to you, he shook your hand. You felt like this guy really cared. Of course, he cared about having a basketball team, but I really liked him. I have not. Now, see, he might go to in church all the time with his little 3 kids, but I don't know. I think there's just some really good folks there, and they're still there. And I meet them, and I've met a lot that have retired, because that's how I am now. And you meet them in various, and they have the same philosophy that the people that when I went to school, they had. Professors, when they were professors, but they retired. So, other than the physical, and there's certainly a lot of that, and the way you study, and all this extra stuff you got to do things, to teach, that caring and that integrity is still there. I see
Appreciate
it all the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.